Jefferson County Court Law number 2 is back in session, cause number 321-394. Case is styled the state of Texas versus Chase Wade Ellis. Let the record reflect that Mr. Chase Wade Ellis is present in court with his attorney, Attorney Keith Ellis. Let the record also reflect that the state assistant district attorney, Tommy Coleman, is present in court with Mr. I think Mr. Anthony Phelan is also at council's table. Mr. Coleman?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. During the brief recess, I checked my files. I cannot find the trial brief that I referenced, but nevertheless, as an officer of the court, that I maintain I've done that research. It's my position. I remove my objection to excluding Mr. Phelan from the courtroom while the defendant testifies, as he's the essential part.
Okay. Do you have a statute or something the court can look at?
I do not. In the interest of time, I'm not going to belabor the point, but I do represent to the court that there is case law out there, the authority that says an essential party can be present during all phases of the trial. But again, Judge, I'm ready to move forward.
Okay. Okay. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Phelan to step outside into the hallway.
Yes, hang on.
Mr. Ellis, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Ellis, you may call your first witness.
Hey, Your Honor, just for, I was waiting, opening until.
Oh, yes. No, okay, yeah. Yeah, you can have your opening statement. Excuse me.
Yes, Your Honor. This case is a real simple case. It's almost as if it was a mistaken identity. I think you're going to hear testimony from the person that Mr. Phelan came in contact with and told Mr. Phelan, I'm Chase Ellis. That's one of our witnesses. We have two witnesses. Chase Ellis will testify that he wasn't even in town, and that he's contended that all along with the game warden, the whole works, that he wasn't even in town. He was, he's got delivery tickets showing that he was in New Mexico at the time. But I'll call my first witness.
Okay, you may call your first witness.
I call Chase Ellis.
Yes, you may proceed.
You state your full name for the record, sir.
Chase Wade Ellis.
Chase, where do you work at the present time?
Pipe and Accessories Incorporated.
And
Oh, hold on, let me do this here. Mr. Ellis, would you please stand and raise your right hand? Mr. Ellis, do you swear and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may sit down. Okay.
there's one final thought on this, okay, excluding Mr. Phelan. Mr. Phelan stands in the shoes of almost like any other victim in the case. Say, for instance, I know this is not this kind of case, sexual assault case, for instance. You wouldn't exclude the victim in a sexual assault case while the defendant testified.
Well, this is a different issue. Yeah.
It's not serious, but I submit to you,
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's a similar, you're excluding what's essentially the victim while the defendant is on the stand.
Well, it's easy. Okay. Mr. Ellis, you may proceed. Yes.
Now, Mr. Ellis, where do you work at?
Pipe and Accessories Incorporated.
Is piping accessories, what do they do?
We build pipes, boards, and structural steel for the petrochemical industry and all over the United States.
Is that a family-owned business?
Yes.
What is your title?
Vice President.
As vice president, what are your duties?
Pretty much to oversee the shop and office, you get out estimates and production, go on as it should.
Do you have a product that you deliver on a daily basis?
Yes, sir. I do anything that comes up that they need me to do around there.
Let's just jump back to the date of I believe it was November the 14th of 2018. It's been some 4 years ago or so. So try to think about what you say. But on the November the 14th of 2018, where was you at?
What date was this again?
November the 14th of 2018.
That's been a long time ago, but being that, all this is taking place, I kind of know the dates a little bit. I was headed to New Carlsbad, New Mexico,
And what would you have been doing in Carlsbad, New Mexico?
delivering some pipe supports we fabricated for RCI.
Whenever you deliver the pipe supports or your product that you build out there where you work, what do you do? Do you bring delivery tickets or what actually takes place?
Yes, sir. Every job has a delivery ticket we bring and have the customer sign and date when they receive the material.
You gave me today a stack of files I haven't looked at, but what do they represent?
Those files are jobs that we had did around about that time, before that, maybe one or two after that. One of them being the job that I was delivering at the time you're speaking of.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Oh, the judge,
No, just take your time.
that takes me. This is my first trial since I've been back from the stroke. I was proud today I was able to put on my boots instead of having to wear house shoes. Mr. Ellis, I give you a document here. Could you tell the court what this document is?
The delivery ticket that I had signed by our customer, the job that was delivered on the 15th actually.
Now, you delivered that job on the 15th, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
This incident happened on the 14th. But about how far a drive is Carlsbad, New Mexico?
It took me approximately about 14 hours, if I remember correctly.
And you delivered that job. Is that a delivery ticket?
Yes, sir. It lists all the items that were delivered.
Does it have an itemized list of each support that your shop had fabricated for that job?
Yes, sir. Has itemized list for price.
And is there any signatures on that?
Yes, sir, there is.
Whose signatures are on it?
One is the customer that I delivered. He's actually the shipping and receiving guy for RCI at that site in Carlsbad, New Mexico. And then the other signature is mine. Both of them were put on the delivery ticket when I delivered the job. And
Is that customary for you to have a delivery ticket? And when you deliver it, what is the delivery ticket for?
pretty much so. We deliver a job and let's say the customer says we didn't deliver 12 pipe sports. Well, we've got a signed delivery ticket that shows when they get the job, they have to inspect it, check it in, make sure everything's there. So when they sign this, they're saying that all those items were delivered.
Is that indicative of, to show when you delivered it, what time, what date, and who received it?
Most certainly.
And is that what's on that delivery ticket?
Yes, sir, at the bottom.
When does it say that you delivered it? I may have asked that question already, I apologize.
Yes, sir, 11/15/2018.
Okay, so you actually delivered that the day after this incident, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I don't recall dates real well. I mean, it's been 4 years ago, but that's my understanding, yes, sir. So.
And you indicated that you drove 14 hours, at least 14 hours to get to Carlsbad, New Mexico, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll just point blank ask you, was that you that Mr. Phelan testified that he came in contact with out there on his property?
No, sir, it wasn't.
Now, do you have, places to deer hunt?
I've got quite a few. I love deer hunt.
Would you have, whereabouts do you have, at that time, where was your lease, deer leases at if you had?
Had deer lease in Fredericksburg, Texas, West Texas, and then I had one in Savala, Texas, which is up around the lake. That's pretty much what we were on at that time.
You also have some family property, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That you hunt on,
Yes,
to the extent you shot yourself in the foot here a few months back, is that correct?
yes, sir. I don't want to talk about it. Yes, sir.
Okay, do you know, Mickey Phelan?
No, sir. I mean, I do now, being that time, no.
He indicated that he knew you from social media. Back in that time, did you have a Facebook page or any kind of social media page that would have had your picture on?
No, sir. All I have was LinkedIn, and basically that's a networking for businesses. There's not many images on there. I think I may have one picture on there of me and my ex-wife. And that's about it. I didn't have a Facebook at the time. Or all I have is LinkedIn.
Okay, Mr. Phelan indicated that, well, you've indicated it was not you out there.
That's correct.
Did you have employees that drove your vehicle or the company vehicle, is that correct?
Yes, sir. All the time, company vehicles. This time, I don't know, maybe jumping ahead, but we had a special, he was a mentally challenged kid from high school.
Objection, not response. I think the question was, do you have employees who drive the vehicle?
Objection sustained.
Mr. Phelan testified that there was a vehicle that he don't know who it belonged to. Or was that piping accessories vehicle that he was referring to?
Yes, sir, it was.
You're not disputing.
I apologize, man.
You're not disputing that that vehicle there that was out there that day belonged to piping accessories, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's about all I have from this one.
Okay. Mr. Coleman, you have any questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. First, not necessarily a question, is a request the court may approach and take a look at these documents. I don't know that.
Yeah, I apologize, but I was gonna introduce that.
It's just the one? It's just,
Yeah, it's just one page.
can I have a moment to?
Yes.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Terrence. Ask you a number of questions. If you don't understand any of my questions, just let me know.
Yes, sir.
If you need me to repeat the question, I'm happy to repeat it. If you need me to speak up, slow down, happy to do that too, just let me know. Is it your testimony that on November the 14th, 2018, you were not on the property located at Walden and Major Drive? Just like you that.
That's correct.
Have you ever been on the property?
Yes, sir.
Is your testimony today that when the witness, Mr. Phelan, testified that he encountered you on that property, that he did not encounter you?
That's correct. Never encountered Mr. Phelan, never.
Do you know Michelle McKinley?
Unfortunately, I do.
And do you know her son, Shane?
I do.
Is it your testimony that someone else identified themselves to Mr. Phelan that day as Chase Harris?
Yes, sir, pretty much. It wasn't me. I knew that.
I just want to be clear, it's objection not responsible, we call for a yes or no answer.
Objection sustained.
Mr. Ellis, I want to be clear. My question is it your testimony that someone else encountered, that the person who was encountered by Mr. Phelan was someone else?
I'm testifying today that was not me on the property. Yes, sir, that's, what's being told to me. I mean, I wasn't there. So
I'm not trying to trick you, Mr. Ellis. It's not a trick question.
Yeah,
I just want yes or no. That's all I want. The testimony today, the person encountered by Mr. Phelan was not you.
I'm here to testify. It wasn't me.
Objection, not responsive, judge. He's not simply answering the yes or no question. How do you
Just please, answer his question.
I mean,
I'm
Just,
asking-
could you just
yes, sir. I'll-
restate your question?
Your Honor, the question was, are you here to tell that that was not you? And he said it was not me.
I don't think that was the question. Mr. Coleman, could you please repeat your question?
Judge, here's what I'm gonna move on, Judge. You do know, Miss Michelle McKinney, correct?
I do.
So do you think it to be just merely a coincidence, a weird coincidence, that this person who was not you would also invoke the name of this Michelle McKinley that you testify that you are acquainted with?
No, sir. I don't find it weird at all. Or whatever you said.
Do you or have you ever owned a Ruger 223 rifle?
No, sir.
What about your neighbor?
I believe so.
You think it also would be coincidental that your dad's 223 Ruger rifle would be found there at the same location where this other person who identified himself to be Chase Ellis and also invoked the name of your associate, Ms. McKinley, would be found? Is that another weird coincidence?
No, sir.
Have you ever spoken to Patrick Phelan?
No, sir.
I'm gonna ask the question. I know what your answer is gonna be, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. Did Patrick Phelan give you consent to be on that property that day?
No, sir.
This document has been marked Appendix Exhibit number 1 that you testified to as being a piping accessories. Refer to it, we call it a ticket. A delivery ticket. Who generates these delivery tickets?
That would be our bookkeeper that does it through. Some of them QuickBooks, some of them through Excel spreadsheet. It'd be our bookkeeper. I'm sorry.
Your bookkeeper.
Yes, sir.
Associated with your company,
Yes, sir.
not a third party, not someone independent of you or your company.
That's correct.
And it's your testimony that Ramiro Ledesma, is that the person who signed this?
I believe that's what it said. I don't know the guy.
Would they testify as to your whereabouts on November the 14th of 2000?
Well, certainly, if they can remember back that far, I mean, if they can, I'm sure they would.
Would Ramiro know where you were on November the 14th of 2000?
If they look back in their records, it would show that I was there. They have the same copy of that in their files as well. It should.
Maybe I'm not asking the question clear enough. You're purporting that this shows where you were on November the 15th. But my question is, would this person who signed this be able to testify as to where you were on November the 14th?
No, sir.
Is it your sworn testimony that this document means that you personally made this delivery?
That's correct.
Where on here does it show that you were the person?
If you'll read down at the bottom, it says delivered by, and then has my signature and my name printed out to the side of it. That would make I delivered.
And this would have been generated again by your bookkeeper.
The copy of it would. Now, all the signatures and everything's done when we deliver the job.
Was anybody with you today on November the 15th that you made this delivery?
No, sir.
What's your title there?
Vice President.
Do you routinely make interstate trips to deliver items?
I take pride in doing whatever needs to be done. So,
That's not responsive. My question is, do you, as vice president, routinely make interstate deliveries?
well, depending on what you call routinely, occasionally I do. I don't know what your definition of routine is, you know, how frequently that would be, but occasionally I do make deliveries whenever is needed.
And you made this delivery on this day in New Mexico, Carlsbad, you do that.
That's correct.
That's the description.
Mr. Ellis?
Yeah, Mr. Ellis, you'd indicated that you knew, Michelle McKinley. Was Michelle McKinley ever an employee for Piping Accessories?
She was.
Was she an employee at the time this delivery ticket was made?
No,
So, whoever would have been the bookkeeper, that's who does the delivery tickets, is that correct?
yes, sir.
So in this pile of files that you gave to me this morning, is there a possibility that Michelle may have, done a delivery ticket on one of them?
Possibility. I don't know how far I went back in the files, but there is a possibility of it.
And do you know who fabricated this delivery ticket?
Yes, sir, I did.
Who did this one?
I believe that was Paige Wildman, if I'm not mistaken.
And has Piping Accessories had several bookkeepers in the past 10, 15 years that they've been open?
Yes, sir.
And you're not for sure which bookkeeper did it, but there's a process from Piping Accessories that when a job is completed, it's sent off. Tell us what goes on.
Well, our filing system, or
Yeah.
how that would be generated, we get a job in and basically our bookkeeper enters the job into QuickBooks. Sometimes depending on the size of the job, we'll enter it into an Excel spreadsheet, which is then sent to QuickBooks and formatted in somehow or another. I don't really get involved in that too much. But anytime we get a job and we get a purchase order on it, the items are entered into the computer and basically stored there until delivery is getting close to being made, and then we'll print out a delivery ticket and put it in a tray, and then we bring it with us when we deliver the job.
On this delivery ticket, there's several names of people that I assume work for RCI. Who is Kevin DeRua?
That would be a guy that purchased the job.
The witness testifying from a document is not even.
Objection sustained.
Yeah, I apologize, but I do offer this as a defendant's exhibit 1. Slip my mind's off a while ago, but I offer it as exhibit 1.
Just, I don't know, the proper predicate's gonna be the name, but to authenticate this as a business resident. That's just my own objections.
Objection sustained.
Mr. Ellis, is this a document that was prepared by your company that you work for, Piping Accessories?
Yes, sir, it was.
And does it reflect the items that you fabricated or your shop fabricated and was to deliver to Carlsbad, New Mexico?
Yes, sir.
Does it have a delivery date?
When it was delivered or when
Yes.
it was fabricated?
When it was delivered?
Yes, sir.
Does it also show where it's to be shipped to?
Yes, sir.
Does it also show contact information of who you're to contact in regards to this job?
Yes, sir.
Was it prepared in your office?
pipe and accessories office, yes, sir.
by a bookkeeper who had personal knowledge of the job and the items that are listed on this.
Yes, sir. The information we gave to them.
Is it a true and correct copy of the items that you know to be correct as it was prepared back in November of 2018?
Yes, sir.
It accurately reflects the signatures of the people that have signed and the job was delivered to. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'll offer this is exhibit one.
Just can I take the witness on a brief with our,
Yes, you may.
this ordinary, kept in the ordinary course of business of piping accessories incorporated.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Was this, or is this kept in the ordinary course of business for piping accessories?
Is that a document?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have no objection.
Okay, no objections. Defense exhibit number 1 is admitted. You know, okay.
Sorry. Mr. Ellis, does these dates accurately reflect where you was at on those dates?
Yes, sir.
Uh, This is not something that you had prepared and printed out later. It was prepared. Was this sent with you when you delivered the job?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair to say that sometime before November the 15th, 2018, in the hours before that you was traveling some 14, 16 hours to Carlsbad in Mexico?
Yes, sir.
Just before leaving to go to Carlsbad, New Mexico, was you at your shop loading up these items?
Yes, sir.
And they're pipe supports of different lengths and different weights. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Accurately reflect what you did on December the 14th and 15th, 2018. Does it accurately reflect where you was at and what you was doing on November the 15th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
Also 14th of 2018. Now I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Coleman.
I have no further questions from the staff.
Okay. Mr. Ellis, may this witness step down?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have any other witnesses?
Yes, I have one other witness.
Okay. And who's the other witness?
Lupe, Dudley Lupe.
Dudley Lupe?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Bailey, could you call the name of Dudley Lupe? Mr. Lupe, would you come forward? Okay, Mr. Lupe, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Lupe, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, Mr. Lupe, you may have a seat in the witness stand. And once you get there, you could adjust the mic. Ms. Ellis, the witness is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you state your full name for the record?
Dudley Adam Luke.
Pardon me?
Dudley Adam Luke.
And how do you pronounce your last name?
Luke,
How do you spell it?
Loupe.
Okay, and I called you as a witness as Dudley Lupe. Is it okay if I call you Dudley?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Dudley, you know what we're here today for, correct?
Yes, sir.
Back in November of 2018, where did you work?
And for piping accessories,
Okay, and where are they located?
on Garth Road and Cheap.
Is over the Chief toward Burnett, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Where did you live at that time?
I lived in Beaumont, at 1295 Ridge Road, right off Highway 90 and, at the edge of the Beaumont city limits.
Okay, Mr. Lupe, do you remember, November the 14th of 2018?
Roundabout, yes, sir.
And, you remember that date because of an event that happened, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you work that day, November the 14th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
And that was for piping accessories.
Yes, sir.
What did you do for them?
All kinds of things, mechanic, I delivered, also,
Okay, on that specific day, did you make any deliveries on November the 14th of 2018?
yes, sir.
Did you have any, did you have a reason to know that you was gonna deliver anything in the next days to come?
Yes, sir, I seen there was a delivery that needed to be done on the board, for the following day.
All right, so, work that had been done for someone here in the Beaumont area, was you a short-term delivery, you didn't go very far, did you?
No, sir, no, sir.
So you never delivered anything to New Mexico or any ways off? Did you own a delivery truck or did you use piping accessories truck?
There's piping accessories, truck.
And I think you said there was a board that indicated what jobs was to be delivered,
Yes, sir.
that a dry erase board in the office. And did you check that every day?
Yes, sir.
And would it indicate what you was gonna deliver the next day?
Yes, sir, chicken, yes, sir.
Okay, on this date, on November the 14th, do you recall if you had a delivery for the 15th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what truck was you gonna deliver?
I was just gonna be using the, Colorado that we had.
So
It's just a little small lightweight truck for lightweight material that needs to be delivered.
okay, and was you to deliver that job early, noon, late the next day, or was it an early delivery?
It's gonna be an early delivery.
Okay, tell the court what you did when you left the job on November the 14th.
I left work and, it's pretty close to dark and I've been being I fish a lot. So I'm always looking for a place to fish, and typically in the fall, water will be, there'll be less water in the fall, and you'll get little pools in all these little drainage ditches, and it'll hold fish, it'll hold bass. And that's why I like going after, and I've been fishing all these ditches all my life, and growing up around here. The mud puddles that holds water, I go after.
Do you know of, Was you going home that afternoon?
I was going home.
Now, well, see if you recall a piece of property on, Beeland and Walden Road
Yes, sir.
that has a drainage ditch or canal that runs through it.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been on that property?
Yes, sir.
On November the 14th, tell the court what you did when you left your job at Piping Accessories.
Yeah, well, I was going home and just decided I was right there, decided I was gonna check on the water, see what's up, so I decided to, stop. Like, you know, it's just right there on my way home. And so I just stopped, pulled in off of Walden Road and,
Are you nervous today?
yeah, I was a little fatigued.
Are you worried about what you're coming to testify for?
Yeah.
And let me just get right to it, Mr. Lupe, or Lupe. I apologize for mispronouncing your name, but did you go on to the property that's in question today that Mr. Ellis has been accused of being on that property?
Yes, sir.
Had you ever been on that property before?
Previously, no, sir.
That canal runs quite some ways. Is it possible that you could have been on that, looking at that canal in other locations?
I would object to the leading nature of these series of questions.
Objection sustained.
Where all,
That ditch ties in, you know, from,
I asked,
Yes.
he asked this question, we asked the question in a non-leading.
Okay, now, his objection is sustained. Mr. Loop, once he makes an objection, you have to stop and the court will make a ruling like I just did.
okay,
And do not respond to a question until it's asked.
okay.
Okay? You may proceed, Mr. Ellis.
the canal that we're referring to on Walden Road, that crosses Walden Road, have you ever been on the other, any portion of it on the other end, or,
Yes, sir.
and where would that have been?
On West Calder, there's some, 3 big pipes that go up under the road. And down right there at the road, there's a whole water, you know, and that's where fish typically hold.
I
Right
know.
there up under, you know, with them pipes.
I know this is something you probably don't want to get to talk about, but we have to. Did you ever come in contact with a Mickey Phelan on this property that we're referring to today on Walden Road?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about what happened. From the time that you left Piping Accessories going home, what did you do?
I just, went to the property. I wanted to find a place to fish. And so I went on the property and I was walking down the ditch on the drainage ditch side. And I came in contact a little ways down with someone that, you know, I didn't know who they were. I was
They-
expecting to come in contact with anybody.
Did they ask you your name?
Yes, sir.
And what did you tell them?
I said, Chase Ellis.
And then why did you say Chase Ellis?
Well, that's the only thing. I mean, I was working for Chase. I was in this truck and, I figured that might go a little ways.
Were you afraid that you might be in trouble?
Yes, sir.
So you told this gentleman you came in contact that you was Chase Ellis. Did you tell him anything else about Michelle McKinley or anything of that nature?
But I
Objection.
Me.
Objection sustained.
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize. Do you know Michelle McKinley?
Yes.
Now, how do you know Michelle McKinley?
Third party accessories, she used to be an employee there.
Okay, and, what did you tell the gentleman that you came in contact with? What did you tell him about Michelle McKinley, or did you?
Just mentioned her, I knew that, you know, being around Poppy, I knew that she was involved with the owners there, and I didn't think that it would be I thought they would just smooth things over. I mentioned, I mentioned Michelle's name.
Was that in hopes that it may eliminate your getting in any trouble?
Yes.
Did you,
Well,
after you told him, had your conversation with that gentleman that you came in contact, what did you do?
I'm sorry,
What did you do? Did you stay on the property? Did you leave? Or
I got out of there.
now, there's some talk about a Ruger 223 rifle.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any time to have that rifle in your possession?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about how you had that rifle.
Well, the gun was in the truck. I mean, one thing I'm terrified of snakes. I don't like snakes. And, there's many places I'd go, you wouldn't think I was, but I am, so I took it for just, snake protection, and, in case something come out at me, but then, I ran into a human, and, typically you don't run up on a human with a gun, especially not knowing who they are. I don't want to, somebody I don't know, it is right there dark. And so that's what I did.
Well, did you leave when you seen the gentleman there? Did you leave at that time? Did you go get the truck? Did you try to avoid him by running from him, or did you just walk up to it?
I guess I just kind of walked towards him. I didn't want to run at that moment.
So was it your idea to get straight to the truck? Let me back up a little bit. I apologize. I'll withdraw that question. Did you carry the gun with you to the truck?
No, sir.
What did you do with it?
I just left it there. I didn't want to go back forward. Thinking I was running after a gun or something.
Is it your testimony that you indicated to Mickey or whoever that was that you came in contact with that you was Chase Ellis? You had a truck belonging to Piping Accessories, Chase Ellis, or not you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I noticed when you came in, you was walking with a cane.
Yes, sir.
Are you injured?
Yes, sir. I broke my leg.
And how did you break your leg?
Put my four-wheeler into the LNBA canal.
Is it the same canal that we're talking about today?
No, sir, it's not, but it's near there.
What was you doing on a four-wheeler on an LNBA canal?
Fishing.
And what happened whenever you have a wreck?
Yes, sir. I was, four-wheeler went in, it's lit on grass and.
Objection.
Objection sustained.
That's-
Objection.
Miss, okay, Mr. Luke, again, I just have to remind you that once I make a ruling, you have to stop and then you respond to another question. You don't keep talking. Okay, so Mr. Ellis, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you frequent the LNBA canals often?
Quite, yes, sir.
So November the 14th of 2018, it was you that was on that LNBA canal that came in contact with someone, is that correct?
Yes,
You represent that you as Chase Ellis,
yes.
and I'll pass it with you.
Okay, Mr. Coleman?
Now, I have a procedural issue here. He's saying that he was the person there on that property. I don't have my victim here to refute that. In other words, to say that this is not the person.
You have rebuttal testimony.
But
He's in the hallway, he can pass right by him, hasn't
wanting to testify from his recollection of passing by the witness.
he? When he testifies, we could bring him back in.
Yes. Yes. Proceed.
Yes,
Good afternoon, Mr. Is it Luke or Luke?
It's like,
Luke
yes, sir.
Dudley, right?
Yes, sir.
Loupe. What's your date of birth, Mr. Luke?
11/12/68.
Where do you live, Mr. Luke?
1295 Wiggles Road, Beaumont,
How long have you lived here in Beaumont?
several years.
About.
Okay,
Is it your testimony that on November the 14th of 2018, that you possessed that rifle?
yes, sir.
Your sworn testimony.
Yes, sir.
We understand that under certain circumstances, certain individuals with certain criminal histories are prohibited from possessing weapons, correct? All right, so understanding that, is it still your testimony today under oath that you possess that rifle?
I mean, I'm not a convicted felon or anything.
That's not the question, that objection, not response.
objection sustained.
Is it still your sworn testimony knowing that you possess that rifle on that day? Let's do this. There's a couple of things I want to clear up. You've never been on that property before on Walden and Major, correct?
Yes, sir.
But on this particular day, on November the 14th of 2018, you just decided to stop and go onto that property, correct?
Yes, sir.
In order to get to that property, what did you have to do?
I just parked at the gate. I mean, there was a gate, but it was unlocked and then just went around. Yes,
Parked
yes, sir.
and went around the gate.
Yes, sir. I parked the truck at the road.
And
It was all pretty.
what were you? Not trip, what were you carrying with you?
Okay, the rival,
The rifle?
around.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
Any other equipment?
Yes,
What about binoculars?
I don't, I mean, this bill, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, there ain't no risk for me to have a lot.
What about a fishing boat?
You know, so there's that lot with,
I mean, but you were there to fish, though, right?
well, I was checking out the place.
Checking out,
I was checking out
checking it out.
the pools. Yes, sir.
How many times did Mr. Phelan ask you what your name was?
I mean, that's been, I mean, it's been a while. I can't remember the police warrants.
What were you wearing that day?
Actually, I'm the warrants are, I said,
Yeah, when you work, because you were working earlier that day, right?
yes, sir.
What do you normally wear to work?
Depends on what it is, temperature, whatever. I always wear
I think that's,
either coveralls, camo coveralls or like khaki color. It just depends on what.
and I think that's fair. You're right. It depends on the weather outside.
Oh, yeah, I like camos.
Sir,
I like camo.
I didn't ask you what you like. It's not trick. I'm not trying to trick you. Okay, just please listen to my question. That's all I'm asking. What do you normally wear to work if it's cool out?
normal.
Yes.
And I'll wear something warm. I'll wear leggings and a top.
Leggings and a top.
Yeah, like coveralls, coveralls.
Leggings, top, coverall. Okay. Is that what you were wearing on November 14th, 2018?
I believe so, yes, sir.
What type of coveralls were you wearing?
It's probably camos.
Do you recall or do you not recall? Because you said problem.
Yes.
So, I'll ask the question again to be clear. What were you wearing?
I was very demo coveralls.
Camel coat. And when asked who you were, you said your name was Chase Ellis, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's a lie.
Yes, sir.
You lied to that individual.
Yes, sir.
That makes you a liar, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you want this judge to believe what you're saying today. But you want this judge to believe what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Because you're not lying today, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. This case has been pending for how long?
Wow.
For a good while.
Yes,
I mean, you've known about it, right?
sir. Yes, sir.
You talked to Chase about it, right? When was the last time you talked to Chase about this case? Today. In the entire time that this case has been pending, did it ever occur to you to come to the district attorney's office and tell us this version, this story that you come in here and told this judge?
Because I was just scared.
It would have been helpful
Yes, sir.
to clear the name of Chase as you come into our office and say, hey, wait a minute, you got the wrong guy.
Yes, sir. I should have done the right thing.
But you're here doing the right thing today, right?
Yes, sir.
You hid the gun rather than take the gun with you? You hid it?
I just said up against the tree, before I, come face to face with an unknown person.
Just, I think I'm done with this one.
Okay, Mr. Ellis,
Judge. It's okay if I call you Dudley?
Yes,
Dudley, the prosecutor indicates you as a liar. This case has been reset several times, been set for trial several times. Have you been here every time ready to testify? In fact, offered your statement?
yes, sir.
And although you lied to Mr. Phelan, is it your testimony and the truth, knowing that you could possibly get in trouble over this? Is it your testimony that the person that was on that property was Chase Ellis?
I'm sorry, I was,
Knowing that there's a possibility of you being in some type of trouble,
yes, sir.
is it your testimony that on November the 14th, you was on the Phelan property, and that's the Phelan property is the one, that's got the canal where you was at. Is it your testimony that it was you instead of Chase Ellis that was on that property? Have you, from day one, after the incident, did you call Chase or call his wife or do anything
Yes, sir.
to let him know?
Yeah,
Have you been-
I called his wife.
Have you been straightforward all along and offered your testimony, came to court to give your testimony? And we was present whenever one of the previous prosecutors, we told him that you was here and you was willing to give your testimony. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I pass the witness.
Mr. Coleman,
Mr. Luca, did you ever come to the district attorney's office and say, I'd like to give a statement in this case.
And I just, forward, I didn't go to the district attorney's office.
So, did you ever go to law enforcement and say, I'd like to make a statement in this case?
No, sir.
So what you're saying is you just showed up in court.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ellis, Mr. Coleman?
Who was the lady who was sitting here in the courtroom just a few minutes ago?
That was a friend of the
It's not a trick question, Mr. Smith. Come on. Who was the
friend of
friend?
the family.
Ma'am, sir,
Friend of the family.
what's her name?
It's Brittany.
What's her last name?
Brittany.
Your Honor, I object. What is the?
I'm getting to the, here's what I'll get to.
Okay, hold on. Well, objection overruled. You may.
When I was asking you questions, at any point during my questioning, did she give you any verbal cues as to whether or not either head nod up or down or head nod side to side?
No, sir.
What's her name?
Her name was Brittany.
Brittany? What's her last name?
Her last name, Adams.
Mr. Ellis?
I have a question.
Okay, may this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, may step down.
Judge, I asked that he not be excused. In fact, I asked
Okay.
the court order this witness not to leave this courtroom until he is released. Oh, leave this courthouse until he is released.
Okay. Mr. Luke, you can step down. Please do not leave the courthouse. And let me remind you that the rule has been invoked, and as a witness, you are ordered to leave this courtroom, but not this courthouse, and not re-enter unless instructed to do so by the bailiff or by the court, by the judge. And you are not to discuss this case or your testimony with other witnesses or anyone else except the attorneys. You are not to read any report or comment on the testimony or evidence in this case. Any witness violating this instruction is subject to being held in contempt of court. Do you understand? Okay. Please have a seat outside the courtroom. Mr. Ellis, you have any other witnesses?
No, I have no other witnesses, Your Honor.
State.
Yeah, at this time, the state called Brittany Adams. I think Mr. Porter's already out the call on it.
Your Honor, I have an objection, as what relevance, she's just
He has a right to call a witness. Will,
just pick a witness out of
he,
the bleachers.
this is rebuttal testimony.
Nobody, I think it goes directly to this credibility. I think it goes directly to
Yeah.
this credibility. You just called me. Your Honor, for the record, Mr. Porter, did you get an answer?
No.
Your Honor, this time I called Charlie Porter to the stand.
Mr. Porter? Porter, would you please raise your right hand, Mr. Porter? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may put your hand down. You may take the stand.
Porter, would you please state your full name for the record, sir?
Charlie Porter the third,
And how are you employed, sir?
on the court matter, county court number 2.
Have you been the bailiff in county court number 2 for the duration of this particular trial involving Chase Ellis?
Yes,
Did you observe during the testimony of Dudley Luke, did you observe anyone sitting in the gallery of the court?
yes.
Could you please describe this individual for the court?
It was a long single white female sitting about center seat, sort of center of the seat area in the back.
What color, if you recall, her top or outfit that she was wearing?
Being honest, I can't remember. I think it's maybe for some reason. I don't remember which color.
Had you seen this individual in the courtroom earlier on in the case?
Yes, she came in and left out.
And then did she reappear again during the testimony of Dudley Luke?
Yes,
Did you observe anything noteworthy or unusual about her behavior during Mr. Luke's testimony?
I took notice that on certain questions, she would make gestures with her head up and down or side to side, like yes or no.
Now, I mean, people will have reactions. You've been in trials, you've been in courtrooms before where people have reactions. But is there anything in particular based on your observation about those reactions?
It was the manner in which she did it and the timing that she did it. It was an attorney would ask a question right before he would answer. Her head would go up and down or side to side, and then he would answer, of course.
So again, based on your observations, did it appear that the witness, Mr. Luke, was taking direction or signaling from this individual, this lady who has been previously identified as Brittany Adams?
It's possible.
I pass it.
Okay, Mr. Ellis?
I have no question.
Okay, Mr. Porter, you may step down. And just for the record, Mr. Porter is the bailiff. We know that the rules has been invoked, but his job, he'll remain in the courtroom.
Stay called up. Make you feel back in the state.
Okay, Mr. Porter, would you please call Mickey Phelan? Mr. Phelan, you may come forward. You've already been sworn in. You can take the witness stand.
Luke, order to return to the court.
Okay. Mr. Porter, would you please give Mr. Luke? Mr. Coleman, witness is yours.
Need Mr. Luke.
I know.
Not a
I
question. Yeah.
think he's coming in.
So since eyewitness identification is non-testimonial, I'll ask that the court order the defendant, Mr. Ellis, to stand side by side with Mr. Luke.
Mr. Ellis, would you please stand side by side with Mr. Luke?
Close to where this witness, closer to, perhaps right there.
Where would you like first to get? Right here?
You stand right here. Stand right there. Stephen, which of these two individuals did you see on the property back on November the 14th of 2018?
Your Honor, could we have them move one way or the other? I can't see the way.
Back outside.
Nick, I'll go there.
Judge, for purposes of the record, I have standing next to me. Which of these two individuals did you see on your property on November 14th, 2018? The one to the right, correct? He's wearing what kind of a shirt?
Short sleeve, plaid, blue.
Should that answer the record? That the witnesses identified Chase Ellis, who is standing right next to Dudley Luke, as the individual that he's encountered on the property.
The record will so reflect.
Mr. Phelan, have you ever seen this individual before in your life?
No.
Mr. Phelan, are there any distinguishing features about these two individuals that are noteworthy to you, sir?
His face.
What about age?
Yeah.
What about height?
Yes. I mean, I know it's been 4 years, but I would know the difference.
I have nothing further for, just these two can return.
Okay,
I have nothing further.
Mr. Luke, you can have a seat outside the courtroom, and Mr. Ellis, you can have a seat in your chair.
Sir.
I passed it.
Okay. Mr. Ellis?
Mr. Fiddle is on break. I actually went outside to use the restroom. I know she was on the phone. Did you talk to anybody about this case while you was, while you was off the stand and before you came back in?
My wife asked me when I was gonna be home, I said, it's just taking forever.
Did you tell her any of the facts or talk to her about the case?
No.
Did you call, any more than Boone? Nobody but your wife?
I spoke with a college buddy of mine who I'm supposed to go hunting with this weekend.
Did y'all talk about this case at all?
No, I said that he asked what I was doing because I was whispering. I said, I'm in court right now. That was the extent.
I'll pass it.
I have nothing further for Mr. Phelan.
Okay, Mr. Phelan, you may step down.
I have no, further.
Okay, and state arrest, okay. You arrested, okay, okay. So at this time, state, in closing, state you have opportunity to go first. Would you like to do your closing, or you like to reserve your closing?
I leave my right to open and reserve my right.
Okay, Mr. Ellis,
Yes, Your Honor.
would 10 minutes be enough, or do you?
More than-
Okay.
Your Honor, this case is fairly straightforward. It's identification. We brought proof, we brought the documents showing where Chase Ellis was at the time this happened. He was in Carlsbad, New Mexico. We brought a person that has indicated that it was him that was on that piece of property. We do know that the time of day was at dark. By the time Mr. Phelan testified that he got out just right at dark and he walked down the canal. He walked down toward the truck. He confronted this witness, he confronted whom he thought was Chase Ellis. We had a witness come forward and say that he knew Michelle McKinley. He knew that she worked out at Piping Accessories, and that he stated that he was Chase Ellis in the dark. And I think the possibilities of it being someone else, it just was, I think proof was overwhelmingly that Chase Ellis was not the one that was on that piece of property. We brought the gentleman that said it was him. If this case was if it was to find Chase Ellis guilty, then anyone that Mr. Phelan had a problem with, he could call the game warden and say, so-and-so is on my property, and then with his word, we're convicting people that there has been no controverting evidence that it was not Dudley Loop that was there. There's the document from Carlsbad, New Mexico, that is signed by the shipping and receiving department of RCI Construction Company. And I don't have anything else for the court, but just to reiterate that what we saw and what we brought forward and what was not there.
Okay. Mr. Coleman, you may proceed.
I take issue, Your Honor, with, may it please the court, Mr. Ellis, I take issue with his characterization that there's been no controverting evidence that it wasn't his son. Well, he is his client, he is his son, that it wasn't his son, that was found on that property back on November 14, 2018. There was eyewitness testimony from that witness stand from, Mickey Phelan under oath, Judge, and I'm asking you to do what we ask jurors to do all the time, is make a credibility assessment in this case. Judging the credibility, and witness testimony is evidence, judge the credibility, of this witness and whether or not he has the motive to come in here and concoct a story against this individual, this Chase Ellis, that he was on his property and that, he was hunting without permission, without consent. Judge, I submit to you that if anybody has a motive in this case, to concoct or fabricate a story, that is this Dudley Lupe, who walked in here and gave a version for the first time while this case has been pending for 4 years of a story that is utterly unbelievable on the very minor issues, or things like what was he wearing? He stumbled and he struggled, and which to me, and I would submit to the court, is indicative of someone who is being untruthful, Judge. He arguably, based on the testimony of Mr. Porter, was taking cues from a witness who, or from an individual who was sitting in the gallery, who, by the way, immediately, when we tried to find her after Mr. Dudley's testimony was conveniently unavailable, Your Honor. So I'm asking you to do what we asked juries to do, assess the credibility, and weigh, using your common sense, the evidence that you have heard, Your Honor. It would be a monumental coincidence for Mr. Lupe to not only say, hey, I'm Chase Ellis. Oh, but by the way, I also know Michelle McKinley and her son Shane, who are associates of Chase Ellis. And, oh, by the way, the rifle that I stashed on a side of a tree when I made contact with Mr. Phelan just happened to be owned by Keith Ellis. What a monumental fortuitous. Oh, another thing. I just happened to be driving by this property that day, and for the first time I started to stop by and check it out. What a cosmic collision of coincidences this would have to be, Judge. Or I submit to you that they are coincidences, that they are, in fact, an effort to evade responsibility. If this defendant is not taking responsibility, Judge, I'm asking you to find this defendant guilty of this offense of hunting without the consent of Mr. Phelan on his family property, Judge. And I'm asking you to find him guilty because he is guilty. Thank you.
Okay.
Your Honor, just in response to.
You can't respond. I mean, in close state has a rebuttal, not the defense. Now, at this time, the court is going to find that the defendant, well, Mr. Ellis, would you please stand? Okay, at this time, Mr. Ellis, the court is going to find that you're guilty of these charges. And the court is going to order a PSI report to be done so that we can set it for sentencing.
Yeah, we would also ask that, and maybe this is a premature request, but we would ask that the weapon in the case before people as well.
Okay, well, on and that's a sentencing issue.
Yes.
So at this time, we'll hold on a minute. give us they use we need a PSI, so, give them about 45 days to do the PSI. Because I think they usually do it by within 30 to 40 days, 45 days.
In 30 days, one
You talking this like the day of the week?
yes.
Probably a Wednesday or Friday. Friday, what about a Friday? Yeah, put it on a Friday.
Say 45.
Yeah,
Okay, October 28th.
okay.
Judge made the statement.
Yeah, just let me do this here. This case is gonna be reset for punishment and a PSI report to be finished by what time, what date?
October 28th.
October 28th of 2022. You can